with your colleagues. We will also be sharing the slides and other supporting documents on our website after the call as well. So just before we start, I just want to take a few moments to introduce WUN to those of you on the call for the first time today, or as a reminder to our returning members. WUN wouldn't be able to function and run these events without the valued partnerships that we have with many fantastic organisations. So just wanted to take this opportunity to thank them for their support. And if anyone wants to discuss partnerships with WUN, then please feel free to follow up with myself or Helen after the call. We're obviously a WUN event today, but just wanted to point out we've got a few more dates for your diary coming up, including our career mapping event in London next week, which unfortunately due to some last minute changes, the event's now going to be held at Sept's offices in London. Those are close to Regent's Park, and you can sign up for that event and the many other events on our WUN website at www.thewun.co.uk. And obviously very much linked in with what we're talking to today. It's a great opportunity when thinking about backing yourself to think about backing from others around you, and one of a really fantastic free to members mentoring programme. We've got over 100 experienced mentors on the programme, and mentee and mentor numbers are ever growing. So this is totally free to all our members, and details of how to become a member and then how to become a mentor or a mentee are all available on our website. Also on our website are a wealth of podcasts and blogs. On screen here, you can see the details of our most recent blogs, which are available to listen back to now. And again, to keep up to date with all of those blogs and podcasts, then please go to our website or follow us on LinkedIn, where we share all of those opportunities as well. And if you haven't already done so, please sign up on our website to become a member of WUN to receive the newsletter. And as I said, we share a wealth of information on that newsletter, but also on LinkedIn. So follow us there too. So without further ado, it gives me real great pleasure to introduce our WUN Associates, who, as I said, will be facilitating this interactive session today and supporting you all in developing your skills of self-advocacy. If you've got any questions during the call, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and then we'll address them probably towards the end of the call, or we'll take them as we can when we go. So if I can introduce our facilitators today. So first of all, can I introduce Lisa Robyn Wood from Grip Coaching Limited. So Lisa grew her career originally in the energy sector, but now is a qualified coach and helps individual organisations by providing one-to-one coaching and training, specialising particularly in middle management, and has worked with a whole host of different organisations. We've also got Juliet. Juliet Summers is the director and lead coach at Inner Talent, and has utilises her career in retail and utilities to enable success for individuals and organisations through coaching and leadership development. Juliet is a highly skilled coach and focuses on supporting women through the career transitions. Joining Juliet and Robyn, we've got Karen Boyd. She's a partner coach as well, working at Inner Talent. She's an accredited career and mental fitness coach with extensive corporate background and experience of coaching leaders from a wide range of companies. Karen is skilled in helping clients by boosting their confidence to overcome challenges. And finally, I'm really pleased to introduce Kate. Kate Hughes is a partner coach from Inner Talent too. She thrives in helping others to become inspirational leaders. Her career is built following huge success and inspiration from her own coach and mentor. Kate has led a high-performing communications team and has worked for a leading management consultancy specialising in people performance and development. So massive thank you to Lisa, to Karen, to Juliet and to Kate, and I'll hand over to them now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that introduction, Karen. Really appreciate it. And really appreciate all of you at WUN for having us here today and for supporting this brilliant event. Thank you to all of you who have joined us. It's so exciting to have you all here to talk about what we feel is such an important topic. And I feel that you agree as well. And hence why so many of you have registered for this and have joined us. So we're actually going to start with a question about backing yourself and what it actually means to you. So what we'd love is if you could just put your thoughts in the chat box, and it'd be great just to see a few of those and see, yeah, how do you interpret what this means, backing yourself? Believing in yourself, yep, love that. What else we got? Know your worth. Oh, here we go, got loads of them now. Not doubting your decisions, I just saw, yeah. Confidence is getting used quite a lot, assertiveness, advocating your own abilities, self-promotions to say I can do that. Yeah, I can. We'll talk about that today quite a lot. I can, absolutely. Recognizing your skills. Brilliant. So there's lots of you who have a view, and it seems quite clear to me, you have a view of what backing yourself means. But what, therefore, if it's that obvious and sounds so simple, is stopping us from doing it? I think as women, I think we do tend to struggle with this so much more. I do feel very much like it's a gender driven battle. And I think that's true through what we've seen in the unconscious bias in utility sector report this year that WUN led on, where out of the stats that we captured, 41% of the women who responded felt their voice is not heard at meetings and they're often interrupted when speaking. 41%, that's massive, isn't it? 49%, even larger, of women said they do not believe their opinion is as valued at work as much as their counterparts. 49 is nearly half. And then 39% of women said that people at work often assume they know less than they do or over-explain things. So clearly things like this, these opinions, get in our way when we talk about backing ourselves. But what else is there? That's very much what we're going to be talking about today. The way in which we've organised what gets in our way to self-advocacy are the internal factors, our own beliefs, thoughts, our experiences, which I describe as the good, the bad, and the downright ugly at times. Our self-belief and our confidence, which I think a lot of you echoed in the comments in respect of how you would describe what backing yourself means. And the way in which we talk to ourselves, that is so crucial too. And then we have the external factors. So that would be our work environment, our managers, those we surround ourselves with, so friends and family. Both the internal and external needs to be understood and managed to successfully back yourself and truly achieve what you want. And we believe that raising your awareness and increasing your understanding of yourself to really identify what is not working and what you want to change, that's crucial here, what you want to change, is the first and most critical step. And then it's about how you maintain that ongoing, because none of this is static. None of us have stood still. We're changing all the time, and therefore the approach we take also needs to be flexible too. So this is about, for us, putting yourself in control and increasing and therefore growing your confidence. And that's what we're going to be exploring together today. So if we can move on to the next slide, Karen, that'd be great. And I'll just talk through that. So as I said, we're going to really look at that internal world first, and then we're going to look at the external forces before we bring it all together. And we're going to offer you the opportunity to reflect, to explore, to share, and try out some of the tools that we're going to give you today during the session. And we'll be doing that using breakout rooms, where we'll be placing all of you into much smaller, intimate groups, where you'll have the opportunity to practice the tools that we'll talk through, while also connecting with one another and recognizing that none of us are on our own in this. And we have this fantastic network at WUN to be able to support each other through. So fundamentally, by the end of the session, when we bring it all together, we really hope that you've got the tools that you can take away and use repeatedly, as is helpful to you, that will help you to better back yourself. And fundamentally, we want you to enjoy it. So I truly hope that you do. So to conclude my introduction, I'm going to set up a poll. So this is what I really want you guys to know. So how well are you currently backing yourself? And these are your options to pick from on the poll when it appears. This is where you can vote. I am in some situations. I'm bossing it. I'm not really sure where to start. I'm making excuses, i.e. it's not the right moment. I'm not sure it's who I am as a person, etc. So if everyone can vote, that would be brilliant. Let's have a look. I feel like the I'm bossing it got less. So I was like, oh no, someone is bossing it. Yes, brilliant. I love one of us is doing this. Excellent, brilliant. So I am in some situations, looks like it's leading. Okay, great. So it's great to understand where we all are with this at the moment. That's good for us to know. So I am in some situations. So that's what we can look at today. If you are in some situations, what is it about those situations where it's working well for you? And possibly then, where is it in your day-to-day where it's not working well? What can you learn from that? Brilliant. Thank you so much for participating in that. I'm going to pass over to, I was going to say my Karen, because we've got one Karen and we've got Karen Boyd. I'm going to pass to Karen Boyd, who's going to talk us through the internal obstacles.
Thank you, Lisa. Welcome. Yeah, hello, everyone. Really pleased to be here and delighted so many have shown up today. So let's dive into the internal world. Our internal world and the way we talk to ourselves matter hugely. And not surprisingly, it directly impacts our actions as well. So what happens is that we often stand in our own way of realizing our full potential. And what we need to do is really build a strong internal foundation so that we can back ourselves for success. And in order to do that, we really need to master our own beliefs, master the thoughts that we're having, which are often not supportive, master our feelings, master our behaviors, so that they're positive and that they're supportive of our goals. And so what we've got coming up now is these 4 impactful tools you see on the slide. These are some tips to help you achieve exactly this. And there will be a breakout activity at the end of this internal part, which Kate will lead, which is all about weakening those limiting beliefs, which we all have. Next slide, please. So I'm sure you all know this quote. And to start us off, I wanted to share a simple but really impactful concept, which is to help you boost your belief that you can. And it's called Proof It's Possible. Hang on, let me just I've still got this poll on my slide. It's called Proof It's Possible, or PIP. And what a PIP can do is it can help you overcome those feelings of inadequacy, feeling that you're not capable, those thoughts that, I can't do this, by finding evidence that your goals are achievable. And you basically identify real life examples of people that have accomplished similar goals to you, or maybe they have overcome similar challenges to yours. And a PIP is tangible and factual proof that success is attainable. And what that means is that it really is very helpful in weakening those sort of internal narratives, which are often not based on fact, because this is an actual factual thing that is true. And what happens is that you then shift your focus from comparing yourself to others and feeling less than to feeling inspired, because you realize that if others can do something, you can too. An example, for this is if you think about, say, career advancement. If you want a proof as possible for career advancement, think about someone who started in your company, who maybe started in an entry-level position and who's worked their way up through all the different levels, risen through the ranks, and has made it to a leadership position, or maybe even the board. They are your PIP, that career advancement in utilities is possible. Equally, for example, thinking about a technical field, which obviously women are, underrepresented in, find a female role model who's become a recognized expert, who's maybe a thought leader in their technical field of expertise, and use that as your pip, so that you can prove to yourself that what you want to achieve is possible. And what you can, of course, do as well, which I use for myself, and I use a lot with my clients too, is you can build your own library of your own pips. So you can think about all the times that you've done something that you think you couldn't do, or maybe you can think about examples where you've taken that step out of your comfort zone, and all was well, and you got brilliant feedback from everyone, rather than it going wrong, or maybe you're making a mistake. Just usually what our mind is conjuring up beforehand. So do find your pips, and you will get the benefit of this kind of boost in belief, boost in mindset, believing that you can unlock your potential, and you can use these success stories of others and your own as well as motivation and as validation for yourself. And then the next slide, please.
Brilliant. So building on from what Karen just shared, the pips, the prove it's possible, you know, Karen shared that brilliant Henry Ford quote, and it's so true, isn't it, that we're very good at telling ourselves what we can't do and why we can't do it. It tends to be where we jump to first. So we create narrative that's based on previous experiences and what we've witnessed going on around us, whether that's happening to us or not, but also our assumptions. We tend to fill the gaps when we have a lack of potential knowledge or understanding. It's actually a protection mechanism. It's there to keep us safe, but it can also hold us back and stop us from trying things out and achieving our true potential. So I worked with a client during my time in the energy industry, actually, who had returned from maternity leave and had managed to convince herself that she wouldn't be able to apply for a brand new team manager role that had been advertised. Now, that was nothing to do with her potential lack of experience, her knowledge in the area, whether it was in a department that she felt she could truly thrive in. It was not anything external. This was all to do with, for her role in her eyes had changed. She was now a mum, as well as a very accomplished career woman. And that role in becoming a mother had adjusted the way in which she was working. She was now working part-time. So we sat down and we explored together through coaching what evidence there was that the business would not promote a part-time employee to a team manager role, and specifically an employee who was a mum. And to be quite frank, there was none. There was no evidence whatsoever. So I worked with this lady to connect her to her strengths and to really recognize and embody her true confidence, so that they could believe that they could fulfill the role of a team manager on part-time hours successfully. And that individual applied for the role and they got it. So I think take that as an example, as when the time that you've told yourself that it's not possible, just take some time to sit and write down all the facts, all the true knowledge that you know, and where you have the evidence to prove it, to support your belief. Now, if you can't find any evidence of why you can't do something, it's the opportunity to recognize that's because what you're telling yourself is not true. And so in doing this exercise, you will find facts that you can utilize to inform a new, more productive belief about what you can do. So if that sounds helpful to you, I encourage you to write that down. And just remember, whenever you're thinking, oh, but I won't be able to do that, or I can't do that, ask yourself, what do I know to be true about this? It may be that what you find out to be true is that you're wrong. And use that to propel you in the direction you really want to go in. So if we move on to the next slide, I'll pass over to Jules.
Thank you. So true, Lisa. And the stories we tell ourselves and the narrative we're running. And sometimes we really need to ask, is that true? But let's also think about the narrative that then comes out and what we're thinking and how we share with others. So let's just have a go at some minimizing bingo. So you'll see on the slide some phrases. Just light up the chat. Can you recognize or hear yourself saying some of these phrases? So it's stopping to think here about the language you use and how the narrative you use comes out. So it's a really powerful tool. All of them, absolutely, Isabel, I'm hear you on that, in backing yourself, because actually it affects how you show up, how you come across, your credibility and your confidence, and what you want to project to others. Using these kind of minimizing languages is a real trap, and often for us as women as well. It stops our message landing confidently. And, you know, if we don't even know we're doing it half the time, I caught myself saying things like this before. So even on the phone, hi, it's only me, etc. I can feel it now as I'm saying it. So just light up the chat. What others come to mind? Which ones are the ones that you can hear yourself or others around you saying? I'm only part-time. I just thought, I may be wrong, but am I being stupid? It might just be me. And the classics, I love these. Sorry, we've got this room booked. What are you sorry for? Sorry, I thought you'd been copied in. And the fillers, these are my favourites as well. The well, the maybes, the possiblies, the waffle. So it's thinking about some of this language. These little words can sneak in when we're in meetings, when we're actually trying to put our point across, to share a decision that we want to make or be strong with that, or for advocating for what we want and backing ourselves. And it's a really kind of physical and psychological thing as well, because actually we kind of perfected it to protect us a bit, to hedge our bets a bit as well, if we're not super confident. So in terms of backing ourselves, you know, sometimes we can move to the corner of the room, bob our heads. It's about the body language, the pitch, the tone that comes with it. I'm saying some of these things and catching it with some of these examples. If we think about it, yeah, I'm not an expert, but another one. I love that. I'm not an expert. Why aren't you an expert? Do you have to know everything? Does everyone know 100%? So absolutely, you know, we'll think about that. But acting in this way impacts how we feel and the narrative we're reflecting back internally on ourselves as well, coming to that what Lisa and Kate and Karen have just spoken about, and the message we're sending ourselves whilst we're sending this externally as well. It undermines our ability to project credibility, confidence, and to back ourselves. So knowing that now and seeing some of these, what can we actually do about it? So in terms of working with lots of people, lots of women especially, here's our kind of top tips. The first thing is lose the minimizing words, the onlys and the justs. Just take them out and practice, see how it feels. Stop sitting on the fence. So instead own it with things like I believe, or I think, or for me, XXX. Really sharpen up your message, lose all these filler words and waffle. Really think about, what does the audience need to know or the person need to know to make a decision or take action. So just practice some of that conciseness and stopping. Yeah. And then think about, don't apologize. So instead of the I'm sorry I've got this room book, you can just do the kind of, oh, I thought we had this room booked for 10 a.m. How do we sort this out? Or, oh, I thought you'd been copied in. No problem. I can put you on the distribution list. So you're not using that sorry, which often evokes some kind of body language as well within you. But the last thing to really just put with your newfound words, if you want to use them and start changing things up, is your pitch, your tone, and your pace and your body language. Because you don't want to come across as aggressive. That's a fine line we have to tread as women. How do we tread that line? But actually thinking about that and how you come across. So the smile, the eye contact, and the intent behind that. So in terms of taking it forward from today for this one, just think about identifying when you use some of these phrases, words, or behaviours, minimizing behaviours. What is it that then you think, feel when you're actually using them? And what might you want to change? It might be with specific people or specific situations. Have a practice, see what you notice. And it'd be good to hear how you get on. Okay.
Thanks, Jules. I actually caught myself using minimizing language yesterday. I got on the train from Manchester and I went, oh, I'm sorry, I've got this seat reserved. And I was like, what am I doing? I've actually got this seat reserved. So we are now going to look at the things that we believe. Now, you might be thinking, well, why does what I believe actually matter? But here's the thing, right? What we believe about something drives our emotions and our feelings. Our emotions and our feelings drive our actions and behavior, and ultimately it drives the results that we get. So thoughts become things, and our beliefs are pretty darn powerful. Now, every single one of us are going to be running some limiting and some empowering or more positive beliefs. So if you could just click the slide, that brings up some examples. So you can see here, these are more of the empowering beliefs. We've got, I can, I always land on my feet, I always work something out, or there's no failure, there's only feedback and learning. No matter what happens, I can handle it. This is the kind of language that we use when we have more empowering beliefs. But we also have limiting beliefs, the beliefs that can slow us down or hold us back. So if we could click to the next slide, thank you. And you can see here, these are the I can't, or I can't because. I'm no good at presenting, I'm no good at sales, I'm no good at sports. Or, well, if you work part-time, you can't be a leader. I'm not good enough. I don't need help. I'll be judged. I'll fail. I don't know how many of you have heard the acronym for FAIL is for first attempts in learning. Or it's too late. It's never too late. It has to be perfect. They're better than me. So you can see from these examples that our limiting beliefs can show up as those small things, but also there's sometimes big thoughts. They're the opinions that we treat like our absolute truths. But in reality, what these thoughts do is they keep us stuck. And if we let them, they will hold us back a long time. So they're the stories that we tell ourselves to stay in our comfort zone, but we already know that growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. So what these beliefs do is they really limit our capabilities. And the thing is that we often don't even realize we're doing it because our beliefs can be so deeply ingrained. They can stem from our upbringing or our past experiences, but they're so ingrained in us that they run in the background on autopilot, convincing us they're facts. Now, they can also be quite clever little defense mechanisms, if you like. They're our mind's way of protecting us from stress or difficult emotions that we want to avoid, because let's face it, it's a little bit scarier to think, well, what if I actually can do this? Rather than just, no, I can't do it. The problem with these beliefs, though, is that they can stop us from truly believing in ourselves and going after what we want. So that's why recognizing them and working to change them is where the real magic happens. So the question then becomes, well, what can we do about them? Now, overcoming the beliefs is not a walk in the park, especially when you're not even aware that they're there. So those examples that we've just looked at that are on the screen now, do any of them ring a bell for you? Just pop in the chat a why if they did. Because the first step is to really spot the limiting belief and acknowledge it for what it is. So basically, find that little lie that you've been telling yourself and really just start to loosen its grip a little bit. Maybe it's something that happened years ago, like a teacher telling you that you'd never be smart enough. And now you believe that we just can't tackle something new, like taking a course that we've been eyeing. Or maybe we find ourselves making excuses because it's easier than facing the what if I actually could. So once you've identified your limiting beliefs, it's time to talk it out. So if it's a smaller belief, what we do is we catch that inner voice in the act and flip it around, and that can do wonders. But if it's something that's dug in deep, sometimes these beliefs can become part of our identity. We've told ourselves them for so long. That can take more work, and that's where professional help in working with a coach can come in. And honestly, trust me, as coaches, we see these and we work through these all the time. Just looking in the chat, there's some fantastic examples coming in. Yeah, we do. We worry about upsetting people. I don't know enough. Yes, I can't. I'm no good at. I'll fail, and others. All of these things. So a few quick tools to help you get started up. Just add the word yet to your thoughts. So for example, I'm not confident with this yet. It's a small, but it's a mighty change. And what that does is it shifts your mindset towards growth. So another tool to try is reframing, and we're going to have a go at that in a moment. And reframing is a mental trick where you can catch those negative thoughts and swap them out for more positive, realistic ones. So ask yourselves, as you heard before with the evidence, is that really true? and then create a new empowering belief to replace the old one and see where it takes you. And it's really important to focus on what we do want and not what we don't want. So they're just a few ways to start shifting the beliefs that might be holding you back. And it's about taking small steps. You know, Rome wasn't built in the day. Take small steps to change that narrative that you've been telling yourself. So we are going to do a short exercise to help you make a start on reframing some of yours. So if you could just flick to the next slide for me, please. Now, the purpose of this exercise is to explore our limiting beliefs and to learn how to reframe them into positive, empowering beliefs to shift mindset and open up new possibilities. So here's how it's going to work. In a moment, we're going to pop you into breakout rooms in small groups of about 4 or so for 10 minutes. Now, during that time, what I'd like you to do first of all is start with some individual reflections. Now, I'm conscious that you may well go into a group with people you don't know, okay? So you might actually want to start with a short introduction. Keep it brief because we're very conscious of the time. But then start with some individual reflections. So take a minute to think about and write down a limiting belief of yours. So remember those examples before. They're the things like, I'm not creative enough to start a project, or I don't have the discipline to achieve my goals, or I'm not confident enough to speak in public. And write your sentence down, simply starting with a I can't or I'm not. Okay, so write your belief in a simple sentence, starting with I can't or I'm not. Next up is about reframing the belief. So once you've written that belief down, it's time to reframe your belief into a more empowering belief. First of all, what we do is we identify the positive opposite of that belief. So you write down the positive empowering belief that's the opposite of that limiting belief. So for example, I'm not creative enough to start a project could be reframed to I have unique ideas and the creativity to start and complete a project. Once you've done that, you gather the evidence. So what you do here is you find that piece of evidence, the past experiences that supports that new empowering belief. Then in your small groups, share with each other your limiting belief and then the reframed empowering belief. Then the evidence that's identified that supports the new belief. So really listen to and support each other in this breakout. And if there's time in your room, consider sharing non-judgmental feedback to each other. You know, what are the similarities that you have here? Have you experienced similar and worked through this previously? What could you do to catch that belief in action and reframe it in the moment? Now, we have a workbook to accompany with you. I think Helen's going to pop into the chat box, I think. So you can download that and use that as well. But if you want to take a screenshot of those 2 instructions on the slide or take a note, what we're going to do is we're going to open the breakout rooms in just a moment and give you 10 minutes in there. Okay, so do take a pic. Thank you. Helen has just popped the workbook in the chat box. So feel free to download that and use that. And that's got this exercise in there. Okay. So we're going to open the breakout rooms now. Yeah. And give you 10 minutes. And then we will see you back here in 10 minutes.